That boy got strike. Right, you seen the Switch 2 preview or the trailer? Yeah, so when they showed the trailer, they showed a Mario Kart game, and niggas counted the races. It's 24 races on there. So instead of 12, niggas gonna be like, oh, this shit 24, and they think it's gonna be like some open world shit like GTA. Shit gonna be crazy. Shit gonna be real crazy. There we go. Don't do a bloodbath. All right.
Were very safe. They were things that I think most of us expected to kind of be there. Sony's first presentation of 2025, and they just kind of forgot to show up. I'm going to talk about the games that I found interesting. I'm going to keep this video mostly positive until the end of the video, because I need to ask PlayStation Studios what the hell they're doing. What are they actually doing? So, as far as what I liked from this presentation, like I said, there were a few games that I thought looked pretty cool, or at the very least, kind of worth talking about. Shinobi. We got a deeper look at the upcoming Shinobi game. I really like the art style. I think everything looks very fast, very fluid. The traversal looks very nice, has the sort of comic book-esque look to it, a little bit like Streets of Rage 4. It comes out on August 29th. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I thought that looked really good. It looked like, Sonic Racing trying to emulate a bit more Mario Kart with a Sonic feel to it. Lots of big courses with really cool-looking set pieces and stuff. I really dug it, man. I thought it looked really cool. There's an open beta coming soon for it. I want more information. I hope Knights is in the game. I wonder if it's going to be one of those things where, like, there's additional Sega characters, or if they just keep it to the Sonic universe. WWE 2K25 Island was shown off, and it looks absolutely terrible. It looks like that nonsense that they put in NBA 2K to have all those microtransactions where you customize your character and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not one of those people who's going to spend a bunch of money to buy a Nike t-shirt in a game to look cool, but I think this is a terrible thing. It's a terrible direction as well, because it shows you that they're probably going to be more focused on that than the actual gameplay, much like you see with the NBA 2K series. The new game from Supermassive, Directive 8020 or 8020, I don't know how to say it. October 2nd. This is a game that we've seen before. I like these games. A lot of people don't realize it. I'm a fan of Until Dawn. I'm a fan of The Quarry, and I get it. Not every, game that's this style is a hit. It really kind of depends on the story. But I like what I saw from this. It's a space setting with a bunch of people on a cruise ship. Something invades the ship. It's taken over. Alien stuff. I like these games. The multiple choices and the different endings and stuff like that. I think they're pretty fun. This is something I will keep an eye on. They also showed off Onimusha 2 HD. Looks like Onimusha 2. I mean, it looks really good. I'm impressed with this game, the way it looks. I really like the first Onimusha HD game that they did. I played that on the Switch. Comes out on May 23rd. Hopefully they do the third one next. Speaking of Onimusha, we got a trailer for Onimusha Way of the Sword, which of course comes out in 2026. Something you should kind of keep in your mind when talking about this stuff is the release date. I think this game looks freaking awesome. There's lots of environmental stuff that you can kind of like blend in with the combat. The combat itself looks very violent as well. Of course, Onimusha, much like, well, every single game that I've talked about thus far, is indeed a multi-platform game, but I think this looks really good. Obviously, the wait until 2026 is going to be kind of a bit of a wait, but I mean, hey, you know what? Hopefully, we're still all alive to enjoy it. The Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta trailer.
Yo, what the fuck y'all doing, yo? Okay, I just gotta go
looks really good. I love the graphics of this game. I love the game itself, obviously. I will say, Ocelot and the Sorrow look a little different. Nothing too crazy or anything like that, but their faces, their character models definitely look a little bit different, whereas like everyone else looks just kind of HD-ified. It's nothing like bad or crazy or anything like that, but this is obviously a day one game for me. They also teased the Ape Escape stuff that was in Metal Gear Solid 3. They said that there's more. I don't know if that was the more, or like maybe they could throw in that Metal Gear Solid 3 online, because I freaking love that. August 28th, it is a day one for me. Here's something interesting. Days Gone Remastered. Okay, PlayStation Studios. I mean, at least think, you know, they got games coming out. Comes out on April 25th. There is permadeath and speedrun modes and a horde mode added into it. There's VRR and fancy graphic crap. A $10 upgrade though if you already own Days Gone. So you might as well just go buy a used copy of Days Gone and get it for like $5-10 and then get the $10 upgrade, because you know they're going to charge you probably $60 at least for the remastered edition, maybe even $70, who knows? So you might as well go through that $10 upgrade path. It comes out on April 25th. I mean, Days Gone is fine. I don't like every PS4 game under the sun getting a remaster, but you know, it is what it is. Another game called Mind's Eye was shown, and this was probably my favorite game of the show. They keep like showing these people, and like I guess I'm supposed to know who they are. It's evidently people who used to work at Rockstar, but like they did this with like a couple other like smaller games, and I'm just like, I don't know who these people are. Anyways, Mind's Eye looks pretty dope. It's a city game with driving and gunplay, kind of Grand Theft Auto-esque. I don't think it's going to be as big like the city scope, but I think the combat looks really fun. There's lots of nice effects. There's AIs and robots that are your enemies. I honestly dig it, man. I think this could be really cool. It's something I will be keeping a very close eye on. Probably my favorite game of the presentation as far as stuff that either I wasn't familiar with or was newly announced. It comes out summer 2025 as well, so Mind's Eye, definitely something to keep an eye on. And then we got a new game from Housemarque with Sorrows. And they didn't show any gameplay. Okay, you know, that's fine. It's going to be a Returnal style game building upon the Returnal baseline that they have built. Comes out in 2026. And there was no gameplay, and that was the show. Now, obviously, I skipped over some games. Some games that didn't interest me. I'm kind of tired of the, you know, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, Stellar Blade, Black Myth, Wukong, over-the-top action-adventure game with, you know, flying combat. Like, everything's just kind of blending together. There were some games like that, Lost Soul aside. There was another game, I don't recall the name of it either, but it was like Bayonetta with like British white girl instead of Bayonetta. But like I'm kind of worn out on that genre of games, especially with stuff like Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out this year. But where the hell were PlayStation Studio games? The only two first-party games, the only two non-multi-platform games. Well, I think Lost Soul aside is not a multi-platform game. I think that's a PlayStation third-party exclusive. But as far as PlayStation Studio games are concerned, the reason that people are tuning into this show, you show Days Gone Remastered, you show Sorrows. which is a 2026 game, and you don't even show any gameplay? What the hell is coming out in 2025? What like seriously, I'm just asking a question. What is coming out in 2025 for the PlayStation 5 from PlayStation Studios? Now you could say RGT, you know, maybe they got a bunch of games coming out in the fall, the holiday season, you know, maybe Venom and maybe one of those live service games. If that's the case, why are you showing me a 2026 game to end the show with no gameplay? That was nothing. I almost feel like I wasted my time watching this show, because if you know anything about me, I have a PlayStation 5. I am a member of the PlayStation console family because I like first-party PlayStation games, and that's what I play on my PlayStation 5. If you're showing me a bunch of multi-platform games, my interest kind of diminishes a little bit with the presentation, because you're not Xbox. You're the alternative to Xbox. You're supposed to have the first-party games. That's why people flock to your system. But it seems like, with good old AA Termin Hulse, you put too much time and value into all of these live service games. Where is Marathon? Where is Fair Games? I'm not saying that these games are going to be good, but at least you're showing me something from these games. At least you have something to show me. You showed me nothing for your first-party games. And this is how you start off 2025. And you know, oh, they could do it on a showcase, but they could do another state of play. Like, yeah, they could. But then what was the point of this one? To show off a bunch of third-party games? What did you have in this presentation that you had to announce, that you had to make this presentation? Name me something. Soros is 2026. You didn't need to do it. Days Gone remastered, that could easily have been, you know, just a Twitter drop. You don't need to do a showcase for this, or a state of play for this event, for this game. I don't get it. Like, there were some good third-party games. I mentioned them. I mentioned things that I liked. And then WWE 2K25 Island, which I didn't like. And, like, that's great. But when I'm watching a PlayStation state of play, I'm interested in the first-party games. When I'm watching an Xbox showcase, I'm interested in what Xbox Studios is doing. Whether or not that's going to come to all platforms or not, that's really another topic for another day. But I'm interested in what Xbox Studios is doing. When I watch a Nintendo Direct, I'm interested in what Nintendo is doing. And Sony, what are they doing? What is PlayStation Studios doing? 2026? Is there anything for this year? Besides Days Gone Remastered? Because that stands right now. That's all there is. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But I don't know, man. Maybe I expect too much. Maybe my expectations are too high. I don't think it's crazy to expect at an event for a company to expect them to have games from their own studios. To have these games that make you want to buy a PlayStation 5. Like I said, Sony does not follow the Xbox model. Nintendo does not follow the Xbox model. That's why we watch those showcases. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. If people disagree with me, that is fine. You are allowed to. You're allowed to have an opinion, just like I'm allowed to have an opinion. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but where are the games? Where are the games, PlayStation Studios? What am I playing on my PlayStation 5 this year? So I'm not playing Days Gone. I don't know if Mind's Eye is an exclusive or not. I'm going to lean towards it not being. Everything else was third-party.
Okay.
Let me know what you thought of the state of play in the comment section down below. Give it a letter grade in the comment section down below as well. A through F scale. And as always, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to check out the video from earlier today, even though Gummy Bears wasn't here, but I sure as hell sang the song like it was going to be. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later. Although I would like to talk about the Knicks absolutely dismantling the Indiana Pacers last night, not here to talk about sports ball. We're here to talk about video game stuff. And we have a couple different stories going on, most of them pertaining to Nintendo. However, one of them actually ties into the state of play, so I do want to talk about this because it seems like another PlayStation Studios game may be coming to Nintendo platforms, which is something I talked about before on the channel. You should have listened to me back then. And then, of course, we're going to wrap things up with talking about a newly discovered feature for the Nintendo Switch 2. So if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you like video game news. Without any further ado, let's talk about what is going on in the world of video games. And we're going to start things off with the Sony State of Play presentation, because allegedly there will be a game there that is being done by what remains of Bungie that is now being headed by PlayStation Studios after the layoffs that Bungie occurred, involving a game that is coming to the Nintendo Switch. It is a new IP, a new game, a MOBA game, which... Well, I never play MOBA games, and the game is currently called Gummy Bears, and it has a very neon aesthetic with cute and colorful characters, and allegedly this is going to be a game that will be releasing on PlayStation, obviously, since it is a PlayStation Studios game, and the Nintendo Switch. So not only Lego Horizons, and you know, you can count MLB The Show, but I don't really, but if this does indeed come over to Nintendo platforms, once again, you have to start to realize kind of what is going on here with this situation. Now, I have absolutely negative interest in playing this game. Cute and colorful MOBAs are not really my cup of tea. You kind of have to wonder, is there going to be a marketplace for something like this in the modern gaming landscape? Are people going to be gravitating towards new IPs and new characters from, you know, Bungie? Like, I don't really know. I do hope the game does see some level of success, but the real question that you're asking is RGT going to do it? Is he going to do it in this video? And you know what? I am. Dashing and daring, courageous and caring, faithful and friendly with stories to share. All through the forest they sing out in chorus, marching along as their song fills the air. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. The only gummy bears I give a shit about is the damn cartoon, because that thing slapped and that theme song is iconic. I don't care about gummy bears. Do you? Let me know in the comments down below. Moving right along, then we're going to talk about Capcom, because Capcom obviously is a company that makes video games, some of my favorite video games, and Capcom has a big game coming out with Monster Hunter Wilds. This is a game that has been beta tested. It's coming out pretty soon for consoles, and people are really anticipating this game. Now, obviously, Monster Hunter is on a very high point right now with seeing lots of success. I mean, really, when you look at like what Monster Hunter has managed to do as far as grow, not just in Japan, where it's always been popular, but kind of worldwide. Like, it's very impressive, because this was always more of a Japanese thing that was an American niche, but now it's selling, you know, worldwide with games like Monster Hunter Rise and all that sort of good stuff. But is Monster Hunter Wilds going to come over to the Nintendo Switch 2? Because obviously this game is for modern platforms only, and the Nintendo Switch 2 is on the horizon, but it's not coming to the original Nintendo Switch. Well, we actually have an interview with Capcom and the producer of Monster Hunter Wilds asking that very question. Of course, regarding Monster Hunter Wilds platforms, we don't have anything extra to announce beyond what's already out there. But we're also a bit in the same position as everyone else with Switch 2. It's such a new announcement that we will need to take our time in the near future to know exactly the nature of the hardware and how we'll use it best. And that's something that's going to be in the future for us. So, not really closing the door on the situation of Monster Hunter Wilds potentially coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2. I do think it's kind of funny that they're like, oh, we need to know the nature of the hardware. Like, you haven't had the hardware. You're not developing games. Like, I guarantee you Capcom's going to have a slew of games at the launch of the system. Probably ports, stuff like Resident Evil 2 Remake and stuff like that. Like, of course that's going to be there for the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. It just makes sense. Like, it's a smart thing to do, to port some of the games that maybe Nintendo fans haven't had a chance to check out. Maybe rectify those crappy Resident Evil 7 and 8 ports with the cloud-only thing, make it available natively on the Nintendo Switch 2, use the DLSS, have a really good experience with it. But I definitely think you're going to get a lot of Monster. I mean, look at Monster Hunter Rise. That was a Switch game first, and it sold extremely well for the platform. So Capcom is definitely keeping an eye on things when it comes to this. They're probably already working on a Monster Hunter game for the Switch 2, and it could be potentially an exclusive, whereas Wild will kind of be a multi-platform game. But I definitely think Capcom's going to be full force on this system. It just makes sense to me. It should make sense to you because there's money to be made on the Switch 2. Would you like to see Monster Hunter Wilds on the Nintendo Switch 2, though? Or are you going to pick it up on other platforms? Let me know about that in the comments down below. And finally, we have a new patent that has been released that pretty much signifies an interesting change to the Nintendo Switch 2 versus the original Nintendo Switch. A bit of a new feature that I think is actually pretty cool. And the more I think about it, the more it makes, like,
Let's go! There we go! Here we go!
Perfect sense for this to be a thing when you think about how the system is going to be designed, because we've seen, looking at the system, things are a bit different when it comes to the the emission of Joy-Con rails with a more magnetic sort of structure that is being used to put the Joy-Cons attaching to the system. The ports on the top and the bottom of the system, that's been something that has been kind of puzzling to a lot of people. Why are there multiple ports on this system? Is it going to be for accessories? I've seen things like attaching another screen to the Switch, which is just weird, honestly. But it seems like we have a little bit more information thanks to this patent, and Video Games Chronicles covered this. Basically, this patent notes that because the Nintendo Switch 2 only has one headphone port, players would be able to decide whether to have it on the top or the bottom of the console, depending on their preference. So basically what that is saying is the tablet portion of the Switch can now be, put kind of what you would expect to be upside down. When you have the current Nintendo Switch, and of course you have the Joy-Con rails, if you put the Joy-Cons in wrong or backwards or upside down, I mean, they can break. They can get stuck. It seems like Nintendo has actually solved that problem, though, by having the tablet portion of it being able to be positioned any way you want it, either, you know, whichever way it is, whether you want the headphone jack on the top of it or the headphone jack on the bottom of it. Now, what's really interesting to me about that is not just the headphone jack, but the USB-C connector, because there's a USB-C connector on both the top and the bottom of it, and I'm guessing that is so that you can charge the system much like the headphone jack is concerned. You could charge it from the top if you want, you could charge it from the bottom if you want when you're playing it in handheld mode. So giving the customer more options, you know, I think it's a good feature to have. Obviously, you would assume that people will be able to put Joy-Cons on right, but I mean, we are humans at the end of the day, and if you look on the Twitter landscape, there's obviously some of us that are missing a few chromosomes, so you might as well make it like as easy as possible, make it as simple as possible, and I think this is a good feature to have. I almost wonder if that means we could potentially see a tape mode being utilized a bit on the Nintendo Switch too, because, you know, some games would utilize the tape mode, which would be like the long way, kind of like how Goldberg eats corn the long way. But like being able to position your Switch tablet like the long way and have it so that games can automatically recognize it, I think that would be kind of a neat thing, especially if you're playing like some older arcade games or games like Raiden or something like that. But what do you think about this? Do you think this is a good feature to add? Because, well, I don't know why you would think it was a bad feature. That was kind of weird. Let me know about it in the comment section down below. And that is all I have for you guys today, at least so far. We obviously have the State of Play that I will be making a video on. There's been some very interesting rumors coming out of that. I hope some of them are true. If they're not, you know, it'd be kind of a letdown. But Parasite Eve...
And Michael has the ball. Again brought in by Sean Marion. The fadeaway.
Yeah, let's stop the game, stop the game. Being Kobe Bryant, he wanted to win the game.
It's broken up by He was fouled in 3-point territory. He'll have 3 shot attempts.
After Kobe got fouled, Isaiah Thomas said to me, tell Kobe to miss the free throws. I go over to Kobe Bryant and say, yo, Zeke said miss these free throws so he can win. And the look that Kobe gave me when I said that, I will never forget that. I think a lot of the players on the Western Conference can tell you how serious he was about us winning that game.
And Michael has the ball. Again brought in by Sean Marion. The fadeaway.
Yeah, let's stop the game, stop the game. Being Kobe Bryant, he wanted to win the game.
It's broken up.
One, two, go, five. Club, that's us. Two, goodbye. Club, that's us. 3, 2, goodbye. Club, that's us. 4, goodbye. Club, that's us. 2. What? 6. We can do it. It's all with your Pokemon.
Remake, bro, I would flip. I would flip because I'm very close to replaying that game again. And if that's the case, I would just wait. Let me know what you think of all this in the comment section down below, though. And as always, guys, thanks for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. You're welcome for singing the Gummy Bears theme song. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.
The Nintendo Switch 2 is getting closer to the reveal, and we've got some very interesting news to go over on a variety of different aspects with this system. So let's go ahead and jump right in with a placeholder, which might hint about the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 that has been hotly debated on this channel and into other places as well. What is Nintendo going to come in with at the price for this system? We have all sorts of potential looming threats, like the potential tariffs, for example, or inflation that could hit this system. But Nintendo has came out recently and said, hey, look, we know that Nintendo products have an air of affordability to them, so we want to make sure that we keep that in mind. But recently, there has been a new placeholder that might say a bit more on this. Now, remember, Shibata Furukawa said that they expect Nintendo Switch 2 to maintain the tradition of Nintendo affordable hardware, but they're not quite ready to talk about that price yet. Now, Costco Canada, an employee has taken to Family Board to share something interesting Go Nintendo is writing. They spotted behind the scenes the employee who shared photographic evidence. Notice that Costco's internal computer system had a Nintendo Switch placeholder listing. Along with that, they also had Nintendo Switch placeholder printout signage as well. What's most interesting is that this listing came with a price. Price tag on that one. According to the listing, this Nintendo Switch placeholder is priced at $499 Canadian. That would equate to roughly $350 USD. But it's important to note that the Nintendo Switch OLED retails for $450 in Canada, and we know the pricing here is $350. Now, with that in mind, it would mean that the listing would work out to be roughly $400 US in the States here. Now, it's important to note here that the Costco employee makes it very clear that they honestly don't know what this listing is for, but they do know that they've never seen a placeholder like this before for anything. That would make it incredibly odd to have a placeholder for just some random Switch bundle, but not impossible. So now it remains a mystery. We're going to keep tapping the situation and see what happens here. But I do feel that this placeholder or this price is right. Yes, y'all love the price is right. This is right when it comes down to it, man. It's going to be $400. That's what I think, at least. I think that $400, before we start factoring in any type of crazy tariffs or inflation or anything, I think that's probably the price that Nintendo is aiming for. You don't know what's going to happen with some of the other stuff, but I do feel that that is the right price to go with. $400 gives you a bit of flexibility when it comes to what you can do with the Nintendo Switch 1 as well. That system, you can keep it right there at that price if you feel that you can still sell it at least somewhat after the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, because it still is priced underneath what this would theoretically be at the $400. Nintendo Switch OLED is $350, Nintendo Switch V2 is $300, and Switch Lite is $200. So you do have a range of systems. You can go with a little bit cheaper if you want, slash $50 off of each of the systems before with Nintendo Switch 1 and see how that works out. I think that overall, if you look at the quality of what the Nintendo Switch 2 will be able to do, based off of just a little that we do know about the system, I feel that $400 is a right price for it. I think that it will do well at that price as long as they have the banger software to back it up. And that's really what this is about. It's about the software to back up the price. It's about what they can do to make sure that they can sell this system at an efficient clip, which we are going to talk about in a bit in terms of the overall industry and how the Nintendo Switch 2 could bring things, kind of elevate what's going on right now. But yeah, I do think that $400 would be a good price. Maybe this means something, maybe it doesn't. We've got a number of placeholders that have all set around $350 to $400, so it seems likely that that's going to be around what the price will be. Now, I don't think it's going to be $350. That would be a miracle if this system is $350. There's no way, in my opinion, though, that they would price it the same as the Nintendo Switch OLED. That would be so aggressive. And man, they'd probably just sticker shock sell a lot. So people say, wow, that's such a great price. Maybe impulse buy for some people that maybe aren't even interested in it. But I do think that $400 is the sweet spot for the Nintendo Switch 2, based off of competing systems and based off of what we do know about it. So I do see that happening. I do think that there's going to be a lot more interesting things that they need to do in order to make sure this system is taken off, and that's what the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is all about. And speaking of the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and interesting things, one of the more interesting things that you can do is subscribe to this channel, because we have all sorts of interesting content that we're going to be dropping. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and click the notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. And let's talk about something else that's very interesting with the Nintendo Switch 2, and that's this new patent that has come up. And it's really crazy, because what it's able to do is that the Nintendo Switch is able to rotate all around, very much like an iPad or very much like a tablet, where the picture can be rotated any type of way, and it can be manipulated in that type of way. So let's get into what's going on with this new patent. This is from DGC, shout out to them. They say a Switch 2 patent suggests its Joy-Con controls can be rotated. Players can be able to plug Switch 2 controllers into opposite ends. So the new Switch 2 patent suggests that the console could be played upside down should the player wish. As previously revealed in the official Switch 2 reveal video, Nintendo's next console will feature a different mechanism for attaching its new, larger Joy-Con controllers. Instead of sliding the new controllers onto the side of the console via a rail, like the original Switch 2's controllers attach via a slot on each side and are seemingly kept in place by a powerful magnet. Now, a new patent published by Nintendo suggests players may be able to turn the controllers upside down and plug them into the wrong side of the system. Instead of reporting an error, the patent suggests that Switch 2 can instead flip the display 180 degrees, essentially allowing the user to turn the system upside down. While this may not immediately seem like it would serve much purpose, the patent notes that because the Switch 2 only has one headphone port, players would therefore be able to decide whether to have it at the top or bottom of their console, depending on their preference. The user can use the game system by mounting the right controller and the left controller on the opposite side of the main body device. The patent reads, according to this, the user can use the game system in such a manner that the component becomes a favorable arrangement. For example, the user can use the game system so that the upper and lower sides of the main body device are opposite to each other, such that the voice input/output connector on the upper surface of the main body device is located below the main body device. That is, the user can insert the earphone into the voice input/output connector from the preferred direction. It should also be noted that while the USB port on the bottom of the Switch 2 is in the center of the system, the one at the top is off to the side. In theory, then, Nintendo or third-party manufacturers could create USB peripherals for Switch 2, such as a camera, for example, which could sit on the middle of the console if the user plays with the system rotated and the middle USB port on the top. Nintendo officially revealed the Switch 2 last month with a teaser video showing off the console Joy-Cons. The trailer appears to show the Joy-Cons attaching to grips and sliding across the ground much like a mouse would before detaching from their grips and attaching to the Switch 2 console. This might further credence the previous reports that the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons are going to have an optical sensor which you can then use as like a mouse for different games or even navigating menus or other things like that. Now, the one thing that people are talking about when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 is where are the extra gimmicks? Where are the other things that you can do, which Nintendo has not revealed yet? But a number of patents have started to come out where we've explored some of these different things, and I think that's going to be the difference. Better functionality and creativity with the hardware, and to upgrades and additions that take what you like and make it even better and add in some other things for customization or a bit more sauce, as they say, overall. I think that the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons are going to have that mouse configuration to where you can play games with a joystick in one hand and a mouse in the other. There's even sometimes there's the dual mouse going on, which I don't know what you use that for, but if you wanted to, maybe that's going to be a thing. But if you combine that with some of this stuff right here, I do think that it creates a very intriguing system, because people love the Nintendo Switch. They just want something a bit more powerful. But if you actually add in some other stuff as well, it's going to create a pretty cool gaming device that's going to be very different from other types of devices. And these are the type of little things here and there that Nintendo's known for. It's kind of weird. Maybe a lot of people won't use it, but still, it's a cool thing to have. Almost like tabletop play with sliding Joy-Cons and saying, okay, somebody can grab and play this type of way. So I do think that these are the type of little things that Nintendo is known for overall that are kind of the experience that you would expect them to kind of do some quirky stuff like this. But I think it's going to work really well overall with what they want to do, with Nintendo's type of style of device and how they present their systems and everything. So I'm very excited to see this Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and what happens here, because I think it's going to be pretty crazy, some of the stuff that they do show off. But speaking of crazy, right now the industry is definitely a little bit of a slump. We really don't have massive sales overall with every single system, and things are a little bit low. However, industry analyst Circana's Matt Piscatella believes that the Nintendo Switch 2 will get the market back to growth. Things have been at a little bit of a stalemate, but I do think that things are going to turn around, and that's how he feels as well. So Matt Piscatella, who works for Circana, video game software and hardware sales tracker in the United States, has said in a new video that he is a firm belief that the Nintendo Switch 2 will bring the video game market back to growth when it launches later this year. Let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 as well, coming out at the end of the year. Quote, if those two things do happen, talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 and the Nintendo Switch 2, and they do meet the expectations going into this year, I think you're looking at a low to mid single-digit percentage growth in the overall market spending on the video game products. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it would result in a record spending on the consumer side. It would get the industry back to growth over that 2021 peak that we've previously seen. And a little bit of a thing, not that a lot of folks may be thinking about, is it gets investment flowing back into the gaming space. And that's really what it's about. I mean, people see video games sometimes as okay, they just make this so I can have enjoyment. And that's completely fine. If that's how you feel, you can feel that way. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And in order for us to get the best games, and in order for us to get the best stuff, we have to have sales. We have to have money flowing in. Otherwise, there's no games being funded. There's no Grand Theft Autos, or there's no Nintendo Switch 2s, or Marios, or Zeldas, or whatever you like to play. So at the end of the day, making sure that the Nintendo Switch 2 is a success, obviously a successful launch for Grand Theft Auto 6. These are all things that's got to be crucial for the video game industry. And probably executives are thinking like, okay, we want to make sure that these things do well, because it is going to elevate and bring a lot more money back into it. We're probably going to get a lot more PS5s, Xbox Series systems being sold when Grand Theft Auto 6 launches. And of course, people are going to be very excited to see what Nintendo has with the Nintendo Switch 2, a new 3D Mario, a new Mario Kart, what's going to be happening with Zelda, what's going to be happening with